So this video is about a update on this pulley system that goes to the drill press head. So I got the new pulley in, and I'll show you what's going on here. Okay, this is the old one. Now it had set screws that went through here, and I had to take the surface down, so that removed part of them, but I'm not using those anyway. I'm using a keyway. This is the old one. I bought this with a 5/8 bore, thinking that the motor was 3/4, but it wasn't. It was 15 millimeter. I think it's 592 or something like that. So anyway, I couldn't use this, so I ordered this new one. Now the new one is a single flange. It's not a double flange like this. I wanted a double flange, but it was out of stock. So I ordered a single flange with a 1/2-inch bore. So I bored it out to the 592 and I put the keyway in it, and now it fits the motor. And like the first one, I had to take the surface down. Now I put a undercut in here so I could adjust the height on this a little bit. I could put a little spacer in there and make it longer or shorter. But that's the pulley for the motor, which is a sewing machine motor. And then this is the pulley for the shaft, for the 3/4 shaft. So I have these, I'll take this apart, but I have these screws in here. There's actually 6 of them, but I only got 3 of them in there. And inside of here, there's a webbing, just like here. So I made these spacers to fit inside of here. And I put a 3/16 end mill in here to give me to where the keyway is going to go. And I made this flange because this one was a single. This one only had one flange on it like this one. So I made a flange for that. So I'll go ahead and take this apart so you can see what I have here. This is the one that had the 3/8 bore in it, and it doesn't have a locking tab. See, on this one here, the old one, the smaller one, it has some kind of locking tab to lock this aluminum to the plastic. And the same thing with this one, it's got some kind of locking tab on it. But this one didn't. It had a set screw in the side. So I had to make this piece here so I could fasten this piece to this piece so it won't rotate. Like I said, there's supposed to be 6 of these, but I only put 3 in. So this comes apart. there's the spacers. Now they fit. See, they got this webbing in here, and if I attach this to that, there's play in those screws, and it'll start to wobble. So I put these spacers in here to take up the room, so it'll lock down solid. There's 6 of those. So I ended up boring this out, and it's really thin. I could have bored it all the way out, but I didn't see a need for that. It's only got a maybe 60 or 80 thousandths wall thickness before it hits the plastic. And I wasn't sure if they put some kind of glue in here to attach this aluminum piece to that, or if it's just a press fit, but it really doesn't matter because I'm using the center hole as a guide. And like I said, I made this. This is actually the part that's going to have the keyway in it and rotate. And the screws going through there lock it from this hub to that gear. So when the screws are in there, it locks it in place. And the set screw keeps this piece from rotating, and the screws keep this from rotating on the gear. So it all moves as one assembly. So since this didn't have a flange on it, I put an undercut in here so I made this flange that rides in there, and then that rides in here, so now it's a double flange. So that all moves as one assembly. So when this is put on the shaft, now this gets a little tricky here, because what happens is that this piece is going to lock down on the shaft, and the key's going to be in there to rotate it. But I also needed a piece to lock down on the bearing, but I didn't want to lock this down on the bearing, because the more I tighten it, the tighter the bearing gets. And I didn't want to do that, so I made a little preload. I made it out of PVC pipe fitting, just as a setup piece to get my distance and everything correct. And I'll show you what happens there. Camera turned off, I don't know why. But anyway, let me show you what I did there. So I put the screws that go through there that hold this piece to this piece with the spacers inside of here. Now the top of these screws there's 6 of them, and I cut down the webbing in here so the top of the screws protrude higher than the webbing, so that when the preload part is installed in here, it actually rides on those screws instead of the webbing. So it's on a steel piece, so it won't move. Now, of course, like I said, this is out of PVC, and I'm going to make it out of aluminum, but it's going to ride on those screws so that it won't give. It won't mush out, and it'll hold its tolerance. Now right now I got about a 5 thousandths. This is going to compress 5 thousandths before the bottom of this touches the flange. So when this touches the flange on top of that shaft, this is going to hold it in place because it's 5 thousandths thicker to hold that bearing. Now I can adjust the thickness of this to give it more preload or less preload on that shaft, on those tapered bearings. So that's pretty much done there. So I got the pulley done, got that pulley done, that. So let me show you what I got going on over here. So like I said, this is the drill press head, and I had these aluminum pieces on here that are housing the bearing, and it's got some holes in it because I made these plates that are going to go up there and one down there, and that's going to ride to make the drill press head go up and down on a track. Now I have a extra set of holes in here because what was happening was I drilled these holes and I was tapping them, and I noticed that one side was lower than the other side. So somewhere I had a V-block. So somewhere the V-block shifted and the holes were going in crooked. So what I ended up doing was I just rotated the pattern and I drilled another set of holes. There was no use in making a new part. So one set of holes has the threads, and the other set of holes is just the holes before it was tapped. But anyway, it'll work, you know. So these plates are going to go on here. And then I'm going to have a channel in the back. This is going to be attached to the frame. This is a some kind of U channel, V channel, something channel. But that's going to go like that. So that's going to attach back here somewhere. And I drilled it out for the rails. The rail that I had for the side of the unit that makes it go back and forth is the same rail I'm going to use here. So I just used that rail pattern, and I'll get a set of rails for this thing. But this is gonna be like this, and then this unit is gonna ride up and down on this rail to for the height. It's gonna be above the frame. So that's what I was thinking. But the shaft is in there. I still gotta put that keyway in there. But like I said, this is gonna ride up and down on these rails with those blocks with the ball bearings in them. So I'm going to have about 7 inches of travel, which should be okay. I mean, I have to make it work. But that's kind of where I am right now. So I just wanted to show that to you. Yeah, so when the gear is installed, that's approximately where it's going to be. And then the motor is going to be in front here with the belt going back here. Okay. Talk to you later.